have to make sure no one leaves right now because the next speech, I have to say, I'm required to say, is the most important speech of the evening because it is being given by my co-chair of the Speakers Bureau, Michael Osur, who is also has the dubious honor of being co-chair of District 100 Speakers Bureau. And he's going to give us a topic that is so important because, and he comes as an expert, he is the Assistant Director of Riverside County Public Health, Michael Osur, past district governor, past international director, and his speech is, where'd my title go? It disappeared again. I know it has to do with COVID-19. So tell us your advice about the virus. Michael.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Wow. So here we go. What would this be without a PowerPoint? Wow. All right, here are our Speakers Bureau. Now, I heard someone earlier, Atesh, talk about flattening the curve, but who knows what it means? If for the COVID virus, if we didn't do anything, the blue, look at that blue shape. Tons of people would be sick. They'd all be in the hospital. The hospitals and ICUs would be overwhelmed, and people would die. So the philosophy was to flatten the curve. Look at that yellow curve. Now, is anyone here University of Michigan fans? See how we have Michigan colors here? I like the colors. So we said in March and April, flatten the curve. It didn't make the virus go away, but spread it out over a long period of time so that when people got sick, there was room in the hospital and we could take care of them. And the virus would go over time. We were so successful that the politicians thought the virus was gone. And the public health people said, no, 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 no. Please, we're only flattening the curve. And they said, Mother's Day is coming. Open up everything. Let people go visit their moms. And disaster struck because the virus was still here. Because the virus infects a lot of people. You'll see in the top right, if you don't wear a mask, if you don't do anything, it's every person who's sick will infect 2.5 people. Now in California, we're down to about 1.2. So everybody infects 1.2, which means the virus grows. That's called the R naught for those who care. But here's why you care. Look at this over here. Look at that curve. Look at April, how low it was. We were doing great. And then Mother's Day hit. 2 weeks later, the climb started. Then Memorial Day hit. 2 weeks later, the climb. Then Father's Day. Then it went even bigger. And by July 4th, we went from maybe 3,000 cases in April to now just in San Bernardino, in Riverside, 17,000 cases on July 1, and it doubled to 35,000 on August 1st. Because people didn't understand what flattening the curve meant, and it got very late to make a difference. Here's another interesting approach. This looks at what we care a lot about is the positivity rate, meaning of the tests we do, how many are positive? You want to be 5%. The state says if you're over 8%, you're on the bad list. Riverside is like 13, 14, 15, 16%. And we've tested everybody in, well, a big percentage of Riverside County. San Bernardino is about the same. And that's bad. That means the virus is everywhere. Now, to add complexity to this matter, the whole state system that tracks all this crashed last week. All the numbers since last Tuesday are wrong. All the numbers have been underreported. Even though everyone's increased, it's much worse. Just in Riverside alone, we expect the state undercount for Riverside is 2,000 cases, which, hey, you have 38. What is 2,000? It's huge. It's causing all kinds of problems throughout the whole state. I don't know what to do. However, Riverside will take credit. We were the first ones to call the state last Wednesday to say, your numbers are wrong. And they said, no, your numbers are wrong. But guess who was right? Riverside was right. So we were the first to know that things were really bad. So what do you do when all this happens? Well, I'm public health. I want you to stay home, for God's sake. Cover your face. Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet away. That's what social distancing means. And avoid all essential travel. Well, that causes a lot of problems. Right? Everyone remember in April when all the stores were closed and the businesses were closed? The schools are still closed. You couldn't go to the beach or park. Well, I guess if you live where we do, that's a long way to the beach. Unemployment was super high. Yeah. So the politicians wanting businesses to open because unemployment's up and people are getting depressed. So they said, let's open businesses. This was about the second week of May, just before Mother's Day. They opened the stores. Riverside and San Bernardino said, don't wear a mask anymore. You really don't need to. Now, sure, the economy improved, but people died. People were sick. Now the ICUs are filled to overflowing. And then we had to close everything back. So unemployment's bad. Beaches are closed. Schools are supposed to open next week. Alas, alack, they will not anywhere in Southern California. Now, not a problem for me. My kids are grown. My grandkids are grown. Some people we know, like Karen and Mark, homeschool. But for those of you, I'm sorry, is it better to have kids go to school, get sick, infect grandma and all the teachers, or is it better for them to stay home and drive their parents crazy? I know the answer to that. You'll have to make your own answer. So we started a new campaign just 10 days ago. Masks are medicine.
That's good.
Now, people are mad at me. I didn't invent this. But masks aren't medicine. It's not a pill. Well, let me tell you, if you wear a mask, and as we heard before, if you wear a mask and I wear a mask, guess what? We reduce the chance of getting sick by 95% by infecting each other. I defy you to tell me a medicine that does even half that well.
Mm-hmm.
Being a public health person, you see that I don't only just wear a mask, I wear a face shield on top of the mask. Darn it, I got things to do. I don't want to be stuck with COVID for 10 days. And in June, unfortunately, I turned 65, so I'm now high risk. Well, we can't have that. Wear your mask. Do it for yourself and do it for others, as we heard before. We're in this together. What you do makes a difference. Oh, yeah. If you do this, stay home unless for essential travel. Keep that 6 feet distance. Cover your face. I guess this was already done earlier. Wear your mask. Stay home if you're sick. We together, as personal responsibility, we can turn the curve, make it flat again, empty out those hospitals. But it takes work on all our parts. I know there's sacrifice. I know it's not easy. I know nobody wants to do it anymore and you're sick of it. But really, until the vaccine's available sometime next spring or summer, despite what Trump says, we have to do this or it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And don't believe the first wave was never done. The second wave isn't even hit yet. And this is what we face. So from that piece, we all have personal responsibility for our own health and for the health of others. Wear a mask, insist the people you're with to wear a mask, keep the space, cover your face. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michael.